this is Dr. Joe with Mountain Journey. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to try to replace the batteries in this Clarisonic unit. These are very expensive, and when they work great. But my wife handed me this and said, this doesn't work, fix it. And I tried to turn it on. It gives me this beeping. And then I charged it, and it didn't charge. So these things are notorious for having nickel metal hydride batteries, just like in some of the, not the top tier, but the second tier of things like the Black & Decker, Dustbuster, and other things. They just wear out, and replacing the batteries is not easy, which is disappointing because these things could go and go and go. If we just had a simple battery compartment, it could replace them. But that's not the case. But it's still possible to take these things apart and replace the batteries. I've done that successfully in a Black & Decker Dustbuster. That worked really well. I've done it with a Panasonic shaver, and typically they have these nickel metal hydride batteries. That was the top tier before lithium ion came out, but they have memory. They need to really be discharged before you charge them back up, and if you leave them on the charger all the time, they just have a really short energy time that they work perfectly with, so you have to be cautious. But let's see if we can take this apart. I believe this unit is sealed all the way around, so I'm going to try to use a utility knife, heat it, and see if we can just melt through that very carefully so that I can put it back together, and not only is it functional, but because it's for my wife, it needs to look good. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is take the cover off and then take the brush off. So once those are out of the way, we've got basically just the body. And again, so disappointing, but I know what the problem is. We got to replace the batteries, and I believe they're here in the base of this handpiece. So let's heat this blade. Boy, it stinks. We have good circulation here, though. Safety glasses, very important. And you can see how this is slowly making its way through that. We'll just have to heat it up again. I'm heating it now on a propane torch because it's a lot easier. That little butane torch was okay, but I just leave it. I leave this butane torch on. Boy, is this working well though. Slowly slicing through this thing. Heating it up. There's a coil in here which we have to protect, so be cautious not to go too deep with your cutting. So we heat the utility knife up on this propane torch. Be careful, it gets hot, clearly. And stay right in that groove. And you'll be able to, I think we'll be able to open this up and have it look pretty nice. Then we'll just glue it back together. So right now, I have the top almost completely opened up. We'll continue this along the sides and the bottom. I think it's glued strongly here too. So I think I've got it separated completely using the heating of the utility knife. This one was a good one because it was pretty insulated, but at the end it got pretty hot, so I added this one. this metal one. This worked pretty well too. But now I'm going to try to start prying this apart. And I need to be cautious with that though, because I think there's some glue in the central area as well. So I'm going to take little wedges and put it across here and see if I can slowly pop it apart. So I've got all sorts of little wedges here that I've used to wedge tenons. And I'm just going to use these to help me keep it open as we go all the way around it. So you can see we've opened up the battery compartment in the back. The batteries are in there. I've got 2 wooden wedges in here, and I don't have this side quite opened up, so I'm going to open this up a little bit further. And then this side is all open. We've got this little segment here we need to open up. So I'll do that again with the heated utility knife. So now you can see the battery pack better. I've got these wedges in here, but I'll tell you what, Clarisonics, you have not made this easy for us. You don't want us to replace the battery. You want us to get a whole new unit. That's so awful. That's so wasteful. But as I'm starting to pry this up, I've noticed under here that in the production of this, a lot of silicone sealant was used to basically hold everything on the inside of this to the outside wall, including the non-contact pickup for the recharging. Undoubtedly the coil's got some of that too, so we just need to be cautious when we separate this. Also these LEDs need to be protected. So I'm going to proceed cautiously, very slowly, incrementally opening this up. So as I was putting those wedges in there, I got 2 sharp pops. Pop, pop, and I thought, that's probably pretty good. Oh, there it goes. Yay! These were the 2 pops we heard. These 2 pins breaking, which were glued. Huh, the coil's intact, the batteries are intact, the LED, here they are on the circuit board. We're in good shape. I think we're ready to look at our batteries closely and replace those. Let's take a look. Alright, these are the 2 batteries, and you can see they're welded together, actually spot welded. And then here, these connectors that have they're soldered to the circuit board, and they've been tack welded also. So again, we're meeting up with another challenge, because Clarisonics does not want you to fix this. They want you to buy another one, those rascals. Really disappointing. Great product, but serviceability is awful. Here are the nickel metal hydride batteries that I've got to replace it, and they come with built-in tabs. Plus, I have these solid nickel strips that are useful. Purchased on eBay for about $5. That we can solder these, which will make our connections nice if needed. But these tabs that they have may be enough, may be sufficient for our needs. We'll see. But we've got to work on disconnecting these batteries from those tack welds, because I believe I can probably solder those pieces to the end of the battery. We'll work on this. So I've got a really small micro screwdriver, and I bent up these tabs, and I'm going to try to grab those with a very fine point plier and see if I can pull these spot welds off. And if I can, we'll be in business. Let's try that. Okay, I think it worked. I'm shocked. A little bit of leverage. This one tore. There we go. That one's free. That one came off. This one is a little more tenacious. There it came. Wow. Okay. You can see where it was tack welded onto the batteries, but now we can solder this. This is great. We've got the connections here, which are a little ratty. We'll tune those up. We don't want to short this thing out, but there shouldn't be any current flow through it. And we've saved the connections to the circuit board pretty well. So let's try to get some new batteries hooked up. All right, let's take a look for a second at the battery pack. This is where it was connected to the terminals on the circuit board. There's a plus here, which is great. So now my replacement battery pack, we have a plus and minus, because it's reverse, plus, minus, plus, minus. So that's, it's in series, not in parallel. So we have a plus here and a minus here when we're done, and here's the new battery pack to replace that. The battery pack has these tabs. I'm going to try to orient them like this. I'm going to try to glue the batteries together, and then it'll be an easy time to solder these tabs together. Then we'll work on these ends to hook it to the circuit board. So I put some rosin on here to help with the flow of the solder. And we're going to use one of these little torches. Give it a little more juice here. There, that's a nice solder joint. Now we'll connect it to the circuit board. So to put it on the circuit board, I'm not going to use that torch. I want a little more precision, so I'm going to use this Weller soldering gun. It gets hot pretty quickly. I could solder this. There's one. There's two. So we're in good shape. We've got the batteries replaced. Now we'll see if we can put this back together nicely and charge it up. So let's just recap. Let's zoom in a little bit and we can take a look at these batteries and what we've done. I put some super glue between the batteries to hold them in position so that these tabs on the back would line up nicely. Then I soldered those. Then, as you recall, I pulled off the spot welded areas, leaving these tabs connected to the circuit board, and then soldered these on. When we reassemble this, we'll need to put our adhesive obviously around the perimeter, but also on these areas here to help stabilize the coil, and then a little adhesive in these four parts because they fit into these areas, which will keep the head stable. And then finally these two pins fit into the circuit board area, keeping it stable as well. These are the four LEDs on the circuit board that shine through these four lenses. And we'll get this put back together, get it clamped, and then smooth the connection so it has a nice feel. And then I'll show you how it works, because it works perfectly. I'm going to clamp those with these clamps, but because I've used these before, they're kind of dirty. I put a 60 grit sanding disc on this really nice sponge. This really helps. And we'll just clean up these pads So they're really nice, so they don't stain or cause you know, put some kind of a stain or blemish on the Clarisonic itself. We're going to use some silicone sealant to just apply it where we need it. And then we'll trim the excess off after we clamp it. It's a little bit messy, but it's not bad. This'll cure clear, so that's nice. Okay, let's put this together. And let's clamp it. Then I'll just fill in the gap a little bit with a little more of the silicone, just to be sure we have a nice complete seal. Okay, we've had it clamped up for quite a while now. We'll take those clamps off. And then I've hooked into the Dremel a carbide bit, which we're going to use just to smooth this whole surface off so it's nice. But I wanted to show you how it works. Here are the various modes. So it's fantastic. And you can see the LED showing the power level. See that? So this really has been great. The nickel metal hydride batteries have memory, so be cautious about that. Don't just keep putting it back on the charger. You should really let this discharge almost fully, if not fully, and then when you recharge it. So I'm going to clean this up for a second. So that is the complete battery replacement video for the Clarisonics. It works great. And how nice to be able to, you know, take something that's, quote, disposable and replace the batteries, and this is going to be good for years. Again, the on-off button is here, and these are the different modes. There we go. And you can see the power indicators on the back, showing the battery charge level. So this is good to go, and again, don't leave it on the charger all the time. When you're using rotary tools and things, please use safety glasses. Be careful, be cautious. Again, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. Please like, please comment. Stay safe.